Hello everyone and welcome on in. We are doing a couple of quests. I am keeping them as simple as possible, even though when we actually release that mod, we will, Random Pal will take another look at the house, and Massive Juice will take another look at the exterior. Sea Life is going to take another look at the dungeon, probably expand it a little bit. I will make the quest a little more interesting, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to try to make it very, very simple. Yesterday, during the workshop, we talked a lot about quests and what makes them good and interesting. I think that was an interesting talk, so that will be posted also on YouTube and in this playlist. But for now, we're going to focus on the quest. I'd like to show you a couple of them. The first one that I want to show you is a journal-less quest. We don't have a huge amount of them in Morrowind, but they're neat. They're neat for the players who find them. Like, you feel good, like you found something all by yourself. This is the one I started showing yesterday, where quite simply, and this is the simple version of it, we have a chest. And the chest is locked. In the chest there is a sword and it has a reward. The chest, the key and the sword have a unique ID. For now they are vanilla models, so nothing special, but they have unique ID. That way I can do what I want with them, essentially, without any fear of breaking Morrowind or breaking someone else's mod. Next to that we have a journal. See, that's what I was saying. I can't make this. Oh yes, I can. It's the dialogue window where I cannot zoom. This is a diary. Please pay no attention to the typing. This is placeholder just to get the quest and have an idea of the quest. This is a journal. This is the journal of the Nord who lives there, and we know that there's a cave and there are ruins at the bottom of the cave. The player will find them fairly easily, hard to miss. They found the chest, they hold it up there, cannot open it, so they ordered some premium tools from the trader, but they'll go back and look for a key. At that point, the player may say, you know what, let's go and talk to the trader, and there's going to be something with the tool and another quest that starts there. Or they're going to say, you know what, let's go after him and go and find out what is this mass of rocks. Up to the player. But there's no journal entry. I am not worried about the player not ever finding this, because there's going to be a couple of quests that will lead. One will lead to the journal, one will lead to the dungeon, so it's there. There's nothing, you know, here, quest here. But the odds of the player completely missing it out, pretty slim. There's nothing else, and the reward is a sword. Right now I have taken a short sword because it's a small chest. I wanted it to fit here on the desk. Let me find it. A weapon. There it is. So what we have is a Dwemer short sword. I have changed nothing. I have changed nothing here. In fact, originally it was the Jink blade. When really, you know, putting the final touches for your quest, you might want to, I would recommend in fact, pick an enchantment that makes sense for what you do. Say, I mean, I want to put some spiders down there. Spoiler. And I think there's going to be a nasty one with a shock attack. So maybe a sword that has shock or lightning shield could be interesting. Why not? The name of the sword would be interesting, and of course if you can create new models or tweak existing models, you could make that an entirely unique item. But even without any skills to modify the sword, you can make it a little interesting and a little relevant to what is going on. For now, I have done none of that. Absolutely none of that. It's just there. So the quests. What do we know about this guy? It's quite interesting because Random Pal first made an interior, and then, you know, things happened one after another. We know he's a Nord. We know that he has hair because he's got a hairbrush. He may be a little vain because he's got a mirror, but then again, who hasn't got a mirror at home? Very few people, I gather. We know that he's definitely into Dwemer things. Is he a scholar? Is he a smuggler? Because that's a pretty fancy house for Dagenfell. In fact, if you go to Dagenfell, you will see that all the buildings are shacks, Dwemer looking shacks. That's one thing. There we go. And the only really better buildings are the business buildings. And I would argue that this little house is even nicer. So I would say this guy's got some money. Is he a smuggler? Is he a scholar? Is he both? What else do we know about him? Well, we know that he has a little garden. Originally, these plants were placed by Bethesda, and Massive Juice decided to keep them and just make them into a little garden. That could be a good element to add in some of our quests. Why not? It's part of what makes our character unique. I said I didn't want to go too much into the theory, but I feel this is important. With the information we have about our character, we could imagine we finally meet him. Hi, his name is Gunderson, by the way. That was decided yesterday during the live stream. Hi, my name is Gunderson. I'm a Nord. I live here in Dagenfell. I'm a scholar. I'm very interested in the Dwemer. In fact, because I like nice things and a comfortable life, I've sold a few things to traveling Khajiit, obviously. No, it doesn't have to be. But also, you know what? When I moved in there, I thought I heard some noise coming from the wall, and so I dug, and lo and behold, there was a cave, and I've explored it, and you know what? It connects to a Dwemer ruin. This is perfect. I don't even have to sneak at night to go to the Dwemer ruin past the guards who are already suspecting me of being a smuggler. Blah 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 blah. Oh, also when I moved in, there already were plants, and I wasn't much of a gardener, but now I really like it, and I make some herbal tea from it, and so on and so forth. If you try to put all of that, and it's not that much information, right? But if you put all of that into a dialogue and turn it into an expose with continue wall of text, continue wall of text, I would say that even if you have an excellent writing style, like super pleasant to read, this is gonna get a little tedious. So what I would suggest instead is everything from what that expose would be, from that conversation with Gunderson, everything that can be expressed elsewhere, whether it is visual storytelling, whether it is part of the quests or part of what people say, do it. So for my quests, we already have the chest, the key, and we know that there are tools somewhere at the traders. I could imagine the lady in the pub, a Nord lady, I forgot her name, saying, hey, I haven't seen Gunderson in a while. He usually brings me some gold canet petals. They are normally quite hard to get in this region, but he has a few behind his garden, and he sells them to me because I like herbal tea. And that becomes a very simple fetch quest in itself, nothing amazing, but it ties into what we have there. And that also means that the player is going to go around and go, oh yeah, there's a little garden here, without having to say a long expose, as I said before. We could have somebody in town who says, you know what, the other day around Gunderson's house, I swear I could hear some scary clickety, and it looked like one of those Dwemer spiders, and I run away immediately, but the guards are not doing anything. Let's say that's somebody in the pub saying that. So the guard might assume, it's a drunk Nord. They imagined it. And then you have something that ties in why there are spiders around here, because there's a whole tunnel and everything. You see what I mean? I'm going to stop on the theory, but I feel it's really important to have things that sort of tie in together without making a big expose. Leave it to the player's imagination to go, that's why. Yeah, I see. Now I saw the garden. Now I get it. It makes sense. Or, he must have dug the tunnel himself, probably because you will have a guard who says, we suspect him of being a smuggler, but he's a clever one, and we could never find any evidence of that. And that ties in with everything. So tell the story with however many tools you have, including visual storytelling, what people say, and of course the quest. But make the quest as pieces that the player can put together. Let's do the quest, shall we? Let's do that. My journalist quest is done. I have actually added just a little bit of a slightly fancier thing. I've put a script there that I haven't tested yet, so we'll have to try that. It does compile, which is a first good step. However, even if the construction set compiles your script, it could be borked. One way you can run a script and compile it to check it again, you want to take Morrowind edit. There we go. This is an older editor that is quite nice. I used to have a number of really good features over the construction set, but the construction set with the CSSE now has taken, a few lines from the Morrowind edit tool, and so it's nice. So double click, it becomes immediately active. That is nice. In this one though, we need to select the master file and go. It's going to take a little bit of time. The one thing that it does still much better than the construction set is the script compiling. So we're going to look at the script. Here we go. Yeah, it's a lot of scripts. We're looking for something green, which is something that we now have over in the CSSE. Did I even save my script? Yes, here they are. You open it, you have a nice tool to indent. I mean, I had indented, that's fine, but here, compile. Ooh! No warning, no errors. Again, that is not foolproof. It's not, but that's a really good step. I would recommend, if there are corrections, to copy and then paste. Oh, let's clean that. Paste it here in the construction set, just to avoid, it's quite rare, but just to avoid the instance where something goes weird in that, tool to edit a plugin and it bugs. Just copy paste it. It's not a big effort. So this script seems to be good. I have improved it just a little bit, but the journalist quest would work without it. What I've done is, when the player activates it, it's not going to be opened traditionally even by a key. The reason why I changed it is because right now without the script, if you find the key that I've put somewhere in the dungeon, you come in, you open it, great. But in the story, we've introduced the idea that some good sturdy tools might do the job. And so I don't want to give the player the idea that there's another way of doing it and not giving them a chance, right? So here's what I did. If the player clicks on the chest and they have more than 0 key, so 1 presumably, it's gonna say key fits perfectly, and activate means that the object will do what it is supposed to do when we click on it. In case of a chest, it's open. I'm removing that because otherwise, if I don't have more than 0 keys, so that's the else have, if I have the premium hammer, the one that was ordered, blah, 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 then we have the message, you break the chest open. I didn't spend a lot of time getting those messages. Somebody with more time and more writing skill would probably do something nicer for the purpose of this tutorial. That's good. And then it activates. That's why I removed that, because if I have kept it locked, it would go click and not open. So it's gone. Otherwise, it's going to say you cannot open the chest without tools or a key. That's it. That way, this quest still doesn't have any journal entry, but it's still pointing the player in 2 different ways to do that quest. When we talked yesterday, we listed the sort of things that make a quest fun. Choices and consequences came high up on the list, so we've given the player some choice with a little script that is not too complicated. There's I have shared that yesterday in the chat, and maybe it will be lost, but give me some of that. These are very useful conditions in scripts that will allow you to do all kinds of things. In fact, we don't really need that. This checks for the state of the journal. This checks for how many items you have. This checks for how far you are from the activator. Really, really handy when you want to do, you approach something and a message appears, or a journal gets updated, like you have reached the place, that sort of thing. And this is to see if an NPC is dead. So those are kind of useful, and I don't use things that are much, much fancier than that. Then I can show you those as well. Some very useful results. And these results can be used in a script, but they can also be used in the dialogue window in the result box. That's where when you do a quest, you get an item, you get money, you get a spell, you get disposition. It happens down there. This one, I would only use it over a script. If you want something about moving NPCs, I strongly recommend you check out Mort's workshop. It's uploaded before or after that video. We'll see. Maybe before, because it's already uploaded. A lovely script that you attach to an NPC, and after you reach a certain point in a quest, the NPC says, okay, thank you. You go and do your business, you go elsewhere, and you come back, the NPC is gone because, they said, oh, thank you for helping me, now I'm gonna go home, for example. So this one is useful, but there's other ways you can do it in a very natural way. This one is to update the journal. This one we've seen is to say, do whatever usually happens when you click on that object. It could be pick it up, it could be read it, it could be open a door, open a chest. It could be talk to an NPC. Return tells the script, okay, when we get here, you stop, which is nice, especially if you have a very long script that checks for all kinds of conditions. Like once it hits the conditions that is valid, you don't have to go and check all the others. You got what you wanted. This is the add item where you're gonna have typically player, but it works for any NPC or container. You have the other way around where you remove the item. So instead of add item, you're gonna say remove item. All of those I have also given the link. Mort has given the link as well. You'll find them on the old UESP page that lists all the functions and tells you which script uses them, gives you a bit of explanation. Mort mentioned that some of those were a little outdated, but still super helpful, okay? Play sound I like very much. That's something that I try to do in my quest now a lot more than before to use this. This is super simple because all you have to do is type play sound. And then you can go and look at vanilla sounds. They're loud, sorry. You can go and look at vanilla sound and find something that works. So the only way, unless you know what you want, you go, oh yeah, remember this one. Otherwise you just click through them. These are the Tamriel rebuilt sounds. These are the vanilla one. You can click through them and go, ooh, that's good. For example, actually, in my little script there, we definitely can improve it. Right? The key fits perfectly. When the door open might be a little too much. because we have what do we have? Chest open, metal chest open. Default land door, creaky latch metal. Oof, that was loud. Anyway, I have to go through and find the proper sound and have it there. Again, we can add it here. This down here, door metal close, is actually not bad for, you know, hammering on a chest. There we go. And just like that, your very, very simple quest that's not even a journal is a little more immersive. You know, use all the senses. Good. See, I didn't think of that. Message box, I really like this one. The message box, that's the one we had. It's going to, again, give a little extra piece of the puzzle without being part of a long thing you have to read. This is to make an NPC like you or dislike you if it's a minor, and this is how to make somebody fight. Really quite nice if you want to trigger two people that start fighting. I think we had that in Blood Moon when there's something with the walls. So those are really, really quite useful. Okay, just improved that quest. Shall we do the second one? The second one I want to do is a basic fetch quest, essentially. Now, it is true that when I go fetch quest, or even worse, escort quest, we're thinking like, oh, this is gonna be so boring. And I actually don't need that now. And you're not wrong, but in a quest, what is really interesting is not necessarily the action, because really, what are the actions? You go someplace, you kill a thing, you pick a thing, and you come back. Or you go to another place with the thing. So there isn't so much in terms like mechanically that can be done. But if you have a little bit of story, if you have beautiful places to explore, we have a seal of dungeon, we're good with that. So the fetch quest. We're gonna make it a mystery fetch quest. Remember how I mentioned that the Imperial Guard, there's only one in town. I think there's one in a tower somewhere, but there's only one in town. The Imperial Guard is very, very suspicious of Gunderson. It's like, there's something fishy about this guy. I think he's a smuggler. I can't prove it. Go and snoop around. He's not going to be so cautious with you. He's not going to be so guarded. And bring me proof. Theoretically, we're used to doing that with Morrowind. I'm going to bring you a Dwemer tube, and it's a special one, and it will be recognized. This is a regular one, and I don't want to change it because we have a number of Dwemer items here, and I do not want to make a line of dialogue for if the player has this exact tube, then the quest is done. Or if the player has this guy right here, the quest. It's just too many things. So instead, I'm gonna have the dialogue check. I keep holding my coffee and not drink it. We're gonna have the dialogue check for the journal. The journal that is a much better proof, especially if we add a little bit to it. The entry is not too long. I have to get this chest open. There's something worth selling in it, I'm sure. There we go. Now this is proof. It is written, we're gonna have to change that. It is written by Gunderson's hand. It mentions a Dwemer chest. We'll have to add Dwemer chest. So that's real proof. Gunderson's journal. There we go. And this is the item that we have to bring to the guard, but the player doesn't know. So the player will see those things. They might pick up everything, who knows. Hopefully they'll pick the journal up. We'll have to have options if they do not. So let's take a look. First thing, some modders like to write a lovely timeline on paper or some other tools that they like to use, digital tools. Me, I like to put my timeline right here, especially if it's a simple quest. So I have done new, I have used an ID, for my quest. MMO1 is the prefix I've been using. The first line has the quest name ticked. I put suspicious activity again before publishing the mod or while making the mod, other than showing you how to do it. You want to find some more interesting titles, that will do. My entry 1, and again when I do my timeline I put the numbers there, and then when I sort of review my story and go, do I want to do that? Yes. And then as I go, all right, I'm going to use that entry, then this is when typically I would read it again and think if I can improve the writing a little bit. The guard asked me to investigate his name is Gunderson, whom they suspect is smuggling Dwemer artifacts from nearby ruins. That's all I need. The end, and immediately I'll do that a lot where I'll put whatever here, placeholder, stuff happens, and immediately I'm gonna check the important boxes to check the index, or in a dialogue put the choices immediately and the journal conditions immediately, so I know that is done. Because I find, and this is maybe a personal thing, I find that if I go, all right, okay, I'm gonna and I think about what to write and how to write it, how that ties in with the story, and I could forget to set one of those conditions. So I do this first, like, when is this line showing? And when that is done, say, okay, now what is gonna say? I already have an idea, but I gave the guard proof that Gunderson was a smuggler. He rewarded me with a little bit of gold. Realistically, a guard would maybe do that, or say, congratulations on being a good citizen. Let's go with a bit of gold. It upsets me when I don't get my reward. And that is the first idea I have. This is bound to change as I write the dialogue. Again, maybe you're one of those people who are going to plan things very thoroughly, and that's great, and then you have to input it. I don't work that way, but unless it's a longer quest. Alright, I already have a Gunderson topic, but it's for something else. How do we get our player to talk to the guard? Because the guards, there's something we know, that they are generic NPCs, and we will talk to a few of them, but after a while we know that they have nothing else to tell us. So we're gonna use a classic way to start a quest, the latest rumor. It could be a little secret. If really they say, oh, by the way, did you know that so-and-so? That works as a little secret. What I have in mind, we're better off with the latest rumor. Okay. The latest rumor is a busy topic. Typically, they are nicely filtered. We have rumors usually based on places, towns in particular, as is the case here. Occasionally, some races will say things, or it's going to be a rumor that somebody specifically is going to say, depends, and so on and so forth. So in the case of rumors, I would recommend you place it at the top so that your rumor for Dagenfell, because that's what I'm going to use, is going to be before any other vanilla rumor or rumors added by other mods, so you don't really know how that's going to work. The super important thing is to make sure that your rumor fires one, gives you a little journal update, and then never pops up again, because effectively you'd be blocking all the other rumors for Dagenfell, whether they are vanilla quest or quest by other modders, and you know, it's basic courtesy, I guess. We're gonna do new. Guard looking for Gunderson smuggler? Question mark. That's the gist of what I want to say. And now I look at my filters. This is going to be happening exclusively in Dagenfell. Class, I do not want a special class to say that. In fact, I want anybody but the guards to say that. We have a thing, we have not class. Guard. True. The one is true, yes, this thing is true. 0 is it's not true. So for anyone who is not a guard, they will have this line. Also, I don't want anyone who is not a guard to keep saying that. So that's when we use our dialogue filter. The quest has to be not started. And once we've had the line, the quest will be updated to 10. In fact, we're gonna have to change our timeline, won't we? Let me show you. I have a 1 there. The first entry is typically 1, but that doesn't work, in fact, because I'm using the rumor. So I'm gonna need a new one here. That's going to be my entry 1 with a rumor. Rumor says, and this is going to be my 10. Let's write this nicely. I heard that the Imperial, always mistype Imperial, guards of Dagenfell. I know this game. What are we gonna say? Want to investigate. You see why I'm terrible at typing? Gunderson. That's gonna be my 1. So 1, I got the rumor. 2, I've talked to the guard. That's what we have. We were at 0 and 1, I got the rumor. And here we would have to write it. It could be the guards, just that. The guards are very curious about Gunderson's activities. They suspect him of being a smuggler. That's it. And we get the journal update. Then we want to talk to the guards, and the guards are not going to tell us about the latest rumor, like, yeah, it's true, the rumor you heard. No, we're going to ask about Gunderson. We know the name Gunderson. I'm going to add a little topic. Gunderson. Gunderson is an existing topic. It's hyperlinked. We'll add it there. Add topic Gunderson. This is a different quest for now. So God says, please snoop around. That's the gist of my line. Snoop. Ignore that. Who says that? Any guard in Dagenfell. Journal. Let's go with my quest. What do we do there? Are they going to tell me about that only if I've heard the rumor? No. Because that's something we talked about yesterday during the live stream. It's really nice when you have multiple ways to get started into a quest, different ways to start a story. There's never only one point of view. So, you know, if you already know about Gunderson, or if you talk to the guard and you've already talked about Gunderson before, even if you haven't had the rumor, and you ask the guard, so what's the deal with Gunderson? The guard is going to say, well, we think he's a smuggler, but we can't find any evidence. He's not going to go, well, you heard the rumor about us wanting to investigate Gunderson? No. So I'm going to say equal or less than 1, which really means 0 or 1. Mind you, if I arrive in Dagenfeld and I talk to a guard, the Gunderson topic will not have been activated then, because we did an add topic here, and there will be in the shop when we look at the tool that Gunderson ordered, then the topic will be added as well. So it's not immediately, but you know, multiple ways of getting started. So, however, what we know for sure is once we've talked to the guard, journal, there's my quest, 01, fetch guard. And we're going to 10, that's where a guard asked me. Imagine we write something nice here. If we want to make it a little fancier, and it's not even fancy, instead of saying, the guard says, hey, you know what, you're new here, maybe if you go and snoop around Gunderson's house, it's not going to be so guarded, and maybe you can find evidence that he's a smuggler. And then you have the journal update, and the player can say, well, actually, yeah, I can do that, or no, I'm not interested. You could also say, hey, you're a stranger, we need help finding evidence that Gunderson is a smuggler, are you interested? Honestly, for this quest, I don't feel that it adds anything, but for the sake of showing you. If you wanted to have choice, then you are not going to have your journal update straight away, because the update says, I've agreed to help. We want to give the player a choice. So we're going to go choice. So my line from the guard is going to be, are you interested? Which I summed up by, you wanna. The choice. Yes. No. You want the punctuation to be right. No. 2. And, you know, we want to, if we're going to give the choice to the player, what's the pay? Maybe, and you could have as many choices as you want. The trick with choices, these are things that the player says. So very much like you want to keep your journal entries neutral. This is what the player writes down. But you don't know the player. You don't even know what race, what class are other people role playing. Are they good? Are they evil? Chaotic? Neutral? Lawful? You know nothing about the player. So we want to keep it neutral so that the actual player can imagine easily their character saying that, albeit with not a lot of personality. With the choices, same thing. So either you have multiple choices. If you think about when you want to join the Thieves Guild, say, are you interested? And you can say, we have, yeah, let me in. Because the devs imagine, yeah, they're a thief, and so they're gonna say, yeah, let me in, we're gonna hit the bank or whatever. I don't know how thieves are supposed to talk in Tamriel exactly. But what they try to do, they try to have a line that reflects the sort of character that would. And that doesn't work for me, because sometimes I have a character, she might be of noble origin, but she's poor, and because she was used to sneaking around in the manor and stuff to go out and adventure, she found out that thievery is a good way for her to make money. But she doesn't say, yeah, let me in. She's gonna say, against my better judgment, I will join your organization or something. If you want to try and add some role play to the choices, then rather than a simple yes, no, you can go with, yeah, sure. I never say no to a bit of gold. Or absolutely, it will be my honor to help law enforcement in their duties. I'm trying to imagine a paladin. So you try to have answers, a bunch of yeses and a bunch of nos that will reflect the character that people are trying to play. If you have the writing skill to do that, absolutely brilliant. I don't really trust myself to do that. So I'm gonna go with a yes, no for the demonstration. I might add a maybe, who knows? Once again, for this quest, I don't think it's important for the player to decide right there, right now, no, I will not help you. Because I imagine a player, say a character in the game who doesn't really like the Empire being there, and the last thing they want to do is help the guards, the authorities. They're not going to say, no, I refuse to help you. They're going to say, yeah, sure. And then either ignore the request or actively try to do the opposite. So to have a no, but we have that. We have two choices. So right away, I'm going to copy it twice. That's my original line. And remember, dialogues, Morrowind starts from the first line, checks the condition. If they are not all matched, it goes to the second line until it finds the right one. So my choice 1 and 2, my answers for yes and no will have to be above the question. Again, because I don't want to forget things, this is going to be choice 1, this is going to be choice 2. Immediately, I'm going to add function choice 2. This is going to be change, but it's quite kind of hard to forget to change the consequence of the dialogue. It's easier to forget conditions. Function choice 1. Something that I've seen done either way, a lot of people do what I've just done right now, which is copy paste. Therefore, the conditions of this line are over there. And if it's a journal condition, it's fine. It's not going to break your game, because between the time where you talk to the guard and you click yes, the journal has not changed. This one I've put a column because it's not happening. It's going to be happening here and there. So most of the time it still works. When you have the answers to choices, you can keep the conditions. What could happen is you have so many conditions that you're running out of space. In which case, the ones that have been checked in the previous line, you don't need to check them again. One could argue that the more conditions, the more things you ask the game to read, even if the game does that very quickly, can slow it down. So if you wanted to absolutely optimize the dialogue, you could not have that and your quest would work. That being said, when making your dialogue, it's kind of nice to have all the conditions there to sort of double check every time you look at the line and say, oh yes, this is that. Up to you. For bigger mode, I kind of remove the ones that I've been checked before. But it takes time, and mechanically for your quest, it doesn't change anything. So, choice 1 was yes. And the guard says, splendid, it's a lovely, lovely, happy guard. Splendid. Return as soon as you have compelling evidence. I'm hoping that the compelling evidence is going to be more like, hey, look, I found a Dwemer thing, therefore this guy has to be, you know, and that makes no sense, right? If you find a Dwemer, I have a Dwemer item in my pocket. How do I prove that I found it in that house? I could say, yeah, I found it in the house. You know, that's framing. That's a different thing. Compelling evidence. In which case, We don't need that anymore. The journal gets updated to 10. Choice 2 is no. That's disappointing, citizen. Let me know if you change your mind. By doing that, let me know if you change your mind. And by not having a journal update, what happens is the next time I talk to the guard about Gunderson, the guard is gonna say, oh, by the way, are you okay with that? And you can say yes the second time, presumably if you come back. Which means that you have a bit of dialogue that is repeated, but at least you leave the option for the player. You might not want to leave the option to the player. We talked about choices and consequences. If you say to the guard, no, I'm not going to help you, then he might say, well, bugger off. I'll find someone else. If that's what I decide to do, that's disappointing, citizen. What would I want to use race. Your actions reflect poorly on your rights. Okay, and I make my dialogue, it sort of made it clear that he doesn't want to deal with you anymore, in which case I want to make sure that the player doesn't get another chance. Journal, MMO1, fetch, guard. I'm gonna make it 11. Now, we talked about it yesterday, where typically when you make your quest, you do them in increment of 10. Which means it gives you a bit of lee room in between to add a 5 if you smack in the middle, if you decide to have an extra step. Typically, is it me because I've seen it a lot? It's very likely. I don't think I just invented it. I will go 11 to say that 10 and 11, are two alternatives, two different paths. So we have a guard. Ask me, I really should have copied. Up. I declined, which means that the quest ends. The index is 11. So now, when I go and talk to a guard again, of the 2 lines that are applicable to a guard, this one is not going to be valid anymore because the quest is now more than 1, and this one is a choice of the first one. It's not going to happen. The guard is not going to have the Gunderson topic anymore unless I decide to do something else with it later on, but that's how it is. That's a choice, and that is almost a quest. We have getting the quest, accepting the quest, refusing the quest. We need to conclude the quest. Concluding the quest. Again, I'm doing a copy because I see everything that happened before without having to click and compare. We know that the last time we talked to the guard about that, we got this journal update. There. For my next line to fire, I need the player to have talked to the guard. We don't have any choices. And here's what we're going to do. We could make it very simple, where we're going to say, all right, item. Thank you. My item, that journal, book, Gunderson journal. The player have to have more than 0. I talked about it yesterday. Do not put the player has to have 1 exactly, because they could use the console to get a second one. You could have put multiple copies in your quest, or there might be something else available. Do that. It will avoid issues sometimes. And here it would say, you returned. Classic line. You're back. I see you have evidence. Thank you, citizen. Here's your money. Okay, it would be GG. I'll I'll take that. Here's your gold. And we'll have the result there and the quest will be over. The result would look like that. First of all, the player will lose. Bottom. Remove item. The name of the item I talked about it yesterday. If you look at the vanilla line, you will see that many items have the quote mark like so. They are only necessary if the ID of the object that you want has gaps, spaces between them. Therefore, I would recommend whenever you create a new item, use underscore. Other people use caps. That's what I did for my examples here. Any NPC or a container, because I wanted it to mean something. Using caps helps, even though the construction set doesn't care about it, but it helps with readability. The items that will be removed from the player's inventory is 01 book. I should have made it shorter. Gunderson journal. And we are going to remove just one. If you want to be very accurate, whenever you're giving a quest item to a quest giver, they're taking it, right? All it takes is adding a line, add item. It's going to be the same item. 1. You could technically put the name of the NPC here and then do that. First of all, it's not necessary because you're talking to him. So I'm saying him because most of the guards not all of the guards in vanilla are male Imperial, but you could have a mod that like halves mod that adds guards. You don't need to write the name of the recipient here. It's whoever you're talking to. In this particular context, it's actually even problematic because Imperial Guard NPC. Imperial Guard, there's 50 of them in the game. So I suppose you would give the book to all the 50 Imperial Guards in the game. You don't want to do that. Just the one you're talking to. Beautiful news. You don't have to put the name. Perfect. Then the player gets his reward. Player, add item, gold underscore 11. That's the name of the item. And I don't know, how much money would a guard in Dagenfell give? I feel like 30. I don't think a guard is, you know, if they're asking somebody to help them do their job, it's coming out of their pocket. 30 is plenty. And then we close the quest. My quest is 01 fetch guard. Typically we use 100 for the last entry. That's how Bethesda did it. For me, it makes sense because when I start my quest, I put the title, check, that's the title. I put the last one, this is the last one, 100. That way I know I don't forget to do it. I need to help myself remember things. And that would be it. That would be it. The problem with that is the player might pick up everything but the journal. They might pick up any of the Dwemer items here. Down there, we're gonna have a bit of a Dwemer dungeon. They could pick it up there. You know. So the player might go, well, I have found Dwemer stuff from the house. What's your deal? The quest is borked. It's not working. So I wouldn't do this like that. We want to give the player options, but we also want to sort of nudge them in the right direction if they didn't think of the quote-unquote correct answer. By the way, that is something that you need to be very, very careful about when you write your quest and you playtest it. The way to complete the quest, you know it. You know it. You thought it up. It's very hard to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is not you, who has not spent hours in the construction set, and who is going to, you know, they might go, oh, But that's easy. I just need to look for a dwemer item. They might not think of the journal, even though we've put a few clues in there indicating that we want something that cannot be, that is like damning evidence is the expression I was looking for. But they might think of a different way. In fact, there might be something that Random Pal put in the house that I haven't noticed that would work for this quest. You could have put something in the house that would work for this quest, but that's not what you thought as the quest item. So try to look for every possible way the quest could be tackled and try to cater for that. Though obviously you can't, because you can't put yourself in everybody's shoes and in everybody's mind and test for every possible thing, but we try. So instead of this, what I'm going to do is, once you have agreed to help the guard, he's going to say, found anything? You know what, I'm going to do a copy paste because eventually we're going to use those things. Found anything? And we're going to say, yes. Choice 1. No. Choice 2. Not yet. Choice 3. On the topic of keeping all the conditions, like the inherited conditions from the previous line, it is also going to prevent difficulties where if I had decided to remove this one, I would have to go now for this one. Okay, hang on, we've had choice 1 and 2, it was yes and no, so now I'm picking up it's choice 3 and 4. By keeping an additional condition, the journal one and 2 is gonna work because it goes with the journal. If I didn't have the journal condition, so if I did something like function up there, function choice 1, when asking for my question here, the game would go, all right, this, have you seen him? Let's put that down because it's for a different quest. It's for the hammer quest. There we go. The game would go, all right, found anything? Choice 1, a god Dagenfell jackpot. And you would get this one jumping, you know, to another stage of the quest. So keep the journal. Really, I don't know that it slows the game tremendously to have an extra condition to check, and it can prevent some heartache trying to troubleshoot your quest. Why isn't it working? I put choice 1. I put choice 1 and 2 here, and above that I have choice 1. Why? Okay. So we have a yes, no, and a not yet. We're gonna a yes with choice 1, a no with choice 2, and a not yet with choice 3. Again, I like to sort out my conditions first and then take the time to think about what I'm gonna write, because it is going to take me time. Found anything? Yes. At that point, there are multiple options. Option number 1. The player has got some of the dwemer items in there, but I've already decided I don't want to accept them as evidence. So I could go, alright, when saying yes, has dwemer stuff, but also has journal, but also has nothing. Let's go with that. So now when the player says, yes, I have found things, they would think that they have found things. If they had the journal, and we're adding the condition, item, journal, more than 0, the god is gonna say, perfect! Boom, boom, boom. Here's your money, thank you very much. Quest complete. If that is not happening and the player has some Dwemer item, Misk, Dwemer, no, not Dwemer, maybe I mistyped. Okay, let's not do it like that. Let's check in my cell. Gunderson's home. Let's make that nice and big. We have the chest. That's not gonna work. The key is down there, but we don't want that. That could be an item we check. We'll see how many Dwemer items are in here that the player could potentially have. They could have the key. They could have the key. They could have that. I'm guessing 60 is the tube. And then they could have the OAAB extra items that Random Pal added, not the flora, not the furniture, not the pieces of rock that Sealoff added. There we go. Not the light. There we go. We have a Dwemer burst, we have a Dwemer gyro, we have a Dwemer. Okay, we would have to check for quite a few items, but I would do it. I would absolutely do it. Which means a lot of duplicating the line. Oh, here we go. So has stuff, if it has that, he's gonna say not good enough. Doesn't prove. Johnson is a smuggler himself. And then I would copy the line, change to the gyro, and say the same thing with no result for any of those. So the player there would go, all right, the stuff I found, not good enough. I need something, not doesn't prove, not good enough. I need something that is damning evidence, and they would have to go back, and I would duplicate to add a condition to check for all the Dwemer items. There's not that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Dwemer tube. We can do that. I'm not going to do it now, so we don't waste time just copy pasting lines and changing the name of an item, but I'm sure you get the gist. So we have, did you find anything? Yes, but it's got nothing. If you have not even a Dwemer item that comes from the house, it's going to say, no, I see nothing of interest. For every other item we can find in the house, perfect. That's the only one that gives us the conclusion we want. Second was a no. Okay. The god will say something along the lines of, keep looking. 3, it was the not yet. The god is going to say, keep looking. And nothing happens here. And that way we have a quest where the player, they might just find the journal immediately, they might take other things, and if that happens, then we'll nudge them in the right direction, which is also part of the quest. And once they see the journal, they go, yeah, that's better evidence, much better evidence. And that's 2 quests. Are we doing the third? We're doing the third. But it's been a while already, my gosh, an hour of talking to myself, hugging my cup of cappuccino and not even drinking it. Okay, that's 3 sips in. Hey, latte. Right, so I'm not going to do the quest with the tools because it's going to be pretty much similar to what we have, where you activate the tool. I can at least show you that. I've had it. This Grandmaster hammer is beautiful. The player knows this is a nice one. It's called Gunderson's Premium Hammer. It is scripted, so if the player activates it... No, it's not the chest. That's something that Morrowind does. What Morrowind does, trying to help you, no doubt, it's so that we had the script for the chest that mentions the hammer, and it sort of automatically attached that script for the chest to the hammer. No, I have a much simpler one. If the player clicks on it, and remove the activate. If the player clicks on it, the topic Gunderson is added, and that's it. If I kept the activate, then you would pick up the item, and I don't want that to happen. So we leave it like that. And then, yes, we save it. And then when you talk to Hifnir, right there, he's gonna have the Gunderson topic, and he's gonna say, yeah, he ordered the hammer, he hasn't paid for it yet, I don't know what's going on, can you check it out? And you go in there and you will find what happened, and once you talk to Gunderson, you have a journal update. Once you find what happened to him, you have a journal update, and you come back to him, and he sells them. He sells then this hammer to you that can be used to open the chest if the player doesn't find the key, because the key right now is just there, lying at the bottom of the dungeon. And you know, there's lots of pretty things to look at. You have to look for it. If I wanted to help the player, I would put a tiny light bulb, that sort where the light sort of hits the key to make it pop out a little bit. But it's a key, okay? If the player has read the journal, they know that there's a key. This is one of the rare perfect opportunity to use detect keys. So I wouldn't sort of put extra pointers towards the key there. I feel there's enough for the player to find it. Because remember, if we make it super easy for the player to find the key, yeah, sure, they'll open the chest, they'll have the sword, whoopee, maybe they can even use it. Maybe they like a short sword, maybe not. But I'd rather half of the players don't find it, but when they do, they go, ha ha, gotcha, you were there. Then everybody finding it and not feeling anything special about it. Okay. I'm gonna do the last quest. I want to give you an example of a kill quest. That's what I wanted to do. And it's just a matter of changing the conditions. In fact, you know what? We're gonna talk to the guard again. Though for my kill quest, I like the idea of talking to somebody in the end of the world inn, where presumably people drink, and one of them says, you know what, there was one of those infernal Dwemer spider machine behind Gunderson's house. Whatever is going on, the guards don't believe me, please check it out. We're gonna go with, I would have a different topic for it, but let's make the quest now. This is a new one. Spider. This is a new quest, sorry. And we do the same thing. First, this is gonna be my title. I don't know. Title. Spider. It's not a good title, but boom. New. Why the dead got cash. Presumably. Finish 100. Alright. And then we can put the things in between. I was told, or there were reports of a sighting. Okay, somebody saw what seems to be a Dwemer spider. And we write it pretty. Okay, this is gonna be entry 1. I am going to use the left arrow to put it up. Then we're gonna need spider dead. No, we don't need that. Go away. Okay. It's super simple, right? So let's assume that is gonna be a new rumor. New. I'll talk about this line in a bit because it's important. So one of them spider machines near Gunderson's house. Please go and kill it. This is something we could say, I want this specific NPC in the pub saying that. Or I could say, anyone in Dagenfell who is not a guard would work as well. I put Hefnir. When you have the ID for a specific NPC, you definitely do not have to give a lot more unless it's an NPC that's going to be moving around. Then you would put a cell, but here it doesn't do anything to say Dagenfell Hefnir shop because Hefnir is only ever there. Again, it's not going to break anything. We don't really need it there. Alright, I saw one of them spiders. We want this to happen only when the quest is not started. That is to say, there is a 0. Journal. MMO1. Spider kill. Alright, we need a spider to kill, don't we? I said I wanted to put it in the garden. I want to put it in the garden just in case the player was not curious enough to look what's behind the house. I want them to see it. And we're looking for creature. Not leveled. Centurion spider. Right. When you do a kill quest, you have to have a unique creature. Much like before when you try to do an add item for an NPC that exists in 50 different places, when you check for whether a creature is dead, it has to be a unique one. Not a problem, we know how to do that. MMO1. Spider in the garden. It's not a great name, it's just a descriptive one. If you wanted to make it interesting, you could possibly, yes, it's a new object. You could, make it bigger with S. You could make it bigger. You could make it smaller. Why not? You could make it have a special shock attack. You could give it a lightning shield so the player would see it. Like, oh crap, my favorite spell is not gonna work. I have to think of something else. Why not? It's right there. Now we want to be careful because creatures, if we go to AI, we don't have too much in the way of AI, but creatures typically come with a wander package, meaning they will be walking a certain distance at a certain time of the day, and sometimes they stop and they do whatever animation they have. If you double click on that, I'm going to change that to 100, meaning the spider is just going to pace back and forth and nothing else. The reason why I do that is because I want the player to go look for it, and I don't want the spider to go in the middle of town because then the player might kill it before, I want it to be there. Say, oh. If you want it to be even more precise, you could add a script, and for this I will send you to Mort's workshop. There's this lovely script where depending on a journal condition, something will appear or disappear. There it is in the Tamriel Rebuilt wiki. It is also in the scripting library, available on UESP, probably also on Modding History because it's an old resource. You can have that to make sure that the spider only appears after the quest was given. Here, I don't want to make it complicated, and in fact, no, I would make it appear after you've been in a dungeon, so it's not the first thing that you find. I would put the script there, but it's there. Back to our dialogue. I talked to Hefnir, and now I want to say yes, the spider is dead. We are going to use the dead. And this is my special spider garden. It is dead. And now this condition will only be true once that particular spider has been killed. Wonderful. Thanks. Ooh, hang on. Ooh, I forgot the index. 1. And now it's a 100. You can put your reward, player, add item gold, or whatever it is you want to do. And this is a very rushed idea for a quest, but you have it. And it's already been a little over an hour, and I didn't want to do much more than that. I am going to make those quests a little better. I'm going to add a quest with the bartender asking you to go and pick up some flowers, meaning you might find a spider then. Maybe make it appear somewhere. I'll see. I'll have to think about it and try to bring it all together. Like I said in the beginning, have multiple smaller quests that together make a bigger story without actually spelling it out for the player. I'm also going to have to figure out what happens to Gunderson. I was leaning towards finding him dead over there. It could be finding him trapped and helping him get out. An escort quest. We love those. Not, but it could be. That is it for today. I feel like I've been rambling and talking for a long time. I hope you find this useful. Oh, I got a treat for you guys. Just at the end. Latte. Moi kitten. Fast asleep. That's all you get. A sleeping kitten. I hope you found that useful. I didn't cover as much as I would like, but it would be a 2, 3, 4 hour video. Really do look at the workshop from Mort. Some of the scripts that is suggested, especially enable, disable thing, pick up a journal and get a quest update. Just this simple tool are going to allow you to bring your quest to life, because after I have, after I've picked up the flowers, they're gone. That's not how plants work exactly. So don't do that. But you know, after I've given the pants to what's his name in Nissus, then he finally walks out of the water. Make him move. Things like that. I'm stopping. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you soon. Get modding. Bye everyone.